Disgraceful, despite everything Harry and Meghan have done to disparage the monarchy and bring embarrassment to the royal family, their Duke and Duchess titles will likely not be revoked. Hello. If you are like me, you probably still remember hearing in early December when Conservative MP Bob Seely proposed a bill adapted from laws passed during World War I that stripped German nobles of titles. He aimed to use this to remove Harry and Meghan's titles. I thought finally someone is doing the right thing. But according to recent reports, this may not happen. For Mr. Seely, the final straw was Meghan's podcast. He'd simply had enough of the mockery. So he wrote an op-ed in the Times stating the sooner the Sussexes became Mr. and Mrs. Mountbatten-Windsor, the better. Most agree. It's unfair they retain the titles despite trashing the monarchy and claiming to want independence. The attacks have been constant since 2020 when they relinquished duties. Rather than live independently, their only income is from throwing the royals under the bus with lies and unnecessary revelations. Understandably, many Brits are upset and feel it's wrong for them to retain titles representing the nation. Online calls to strip the titles reached fever pitch after the podcast. Importantly, King Charles likely won't revoke them. Legally, he can't, and as royal expert Rebecca English stated, he never would out of respect, since they were bestowed by Queen Elizabeth. Charles probably figures the titles are meaningless since Harry and Meghan do no real work for the monarchy. He lets them keep the titles to avoid whining. But royal author Tom Quinn argues Parliament can't pass bills removing the titles either. He lists several reasons this won't happen. Mainly, it would worsen an already difficult situation. I see his point. Stripping the titles might give Harry and Meghan more grounds for complaint, though they already have enough. It's like giving a whiny child candy at the store to pacify them, even though you shouldn't. So fine, let them keep the useless titles. But it's still wrong, especially for the people of Sussex to have Harry and Meghan supposedly represent them. If Harry and Meghan weren't such hypocrites, they'd relinquish the titles themselves. But that's their only royal connection and paycheck. Without the titles, they're just Mr. and Mrs. Mountbatten-Windsor, which doesn't sound as impressive as Duke and Duchess. Unfortunately, precedent allows retaining titles despite poor behavior. As Quinn notes, Edward II abdicated yet kept his title despite doing far worse than Harry. Funny how Edward and Harry have similarities, both led astray by American divorces, losing family and duty for them, likely regretting it. If only Harry had paid attention in history class, he could have learned from Edward's mistake. But now he's repeating it, and will likely end up depressed and homesick, but unable to return. Quinn also argues stripping the titles may provoke an undesirable response. Excellent point. King Charles appears intent on keeping the door open for Harry's return. Though difficult now, Charles will enable a way back. I don't necessarily agree, but this seems to be Charles' position. Fine, let them keep the titles. But I'm more concerned about the line of succession. Harry and the invisible children are still listed, allowing the possibility of King Archie or Queen Lilibet, the monarchy's end. While removing titles may be hard, surely excluding them from succession is easier? Succession carries real weight, not just courtesy titles. I hope you can share in the comments how the line of succession works and the difficulty of removing Harry and the children, considering we have no evidence they even exist. I understand the king wants to avoid upsetting Harry further, but he must also consider his angry people. Removing Harry and the kids from succession would show he's taking this seriously, not just allowing the mockery. What do you think about the titles and succession? Do you see the titles ever being stripped? Please share below. As always, if you enjoyed this, don't hesitate to like and share with others who may appreciate it too. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss anything by hitting the bell. Thank you for watching. Wishing you a wonderful rest of 2024 and Happy New Year. Looking forward to seeing you in future videos.